Yes. The second is fight for change of rules of the game to the extent that's feasible within the system, and some of it is happening. The right to information, the system of local courts, improved political funding. Some things are happening.
That's the sort of work LokSatta is doing.
Yes. But the third is ultimately we must fight for the change of the rules of the game. If it happens within the system, it's fine by the existing political framework. Otherwise, we must mend the political parties, really transform the nature of political parties.
How do you do that?
It has to be public pressure. If they don't mend, I suppose people must fashion also new political forces, but with new political culture. What we need is not merely new players, but not merely change of players, but a change in the rules of the game. So a new political culture is required. 1970s, the whole struggle was how to find an alternative to Congress party. Whereas today it's not Congress or BJP or TDP or RJD or
How do you
BJD.
find better politicians?
I think they're there. I think people are there. The point is, have we created systemic incentives to make them work?
But the problem is that people are undoubtedly there, because in a population of 1 billion, it would be hugely depressing to say they're not there. But how do you get them to come forward? I mean, if a man like you won't take that plunge, why would others do so?
I think in many ways what many of us are doing is politics, except that we have not entered the electoral arena, because we find it simply not easy or not possible in the current situation.
And also abhorrent.
No, it's not abhorrent to me at all. I wouldn't say that. I don't regard politics as a ignoble
So it's not
activity.
a matter of principle, it's a matter of practicality.
It's our own incapacity, I would say. It's not so much the principle. Politics is to me a noble endeavor.
If it were to become easier, or let me put it differently, if a major party, most of whose policies and principles you accept and respect, and I use the word most advisedly, were to say, Dr. JayaPrakash Narayan, join us, we need you.
I don't see that chance at all of their asking or LokSatta movement or me personally joining.
Because they're too scared that you represent so radical a change it would undermine them.
And even if they for some reason wanted it, the political culture they represent is not really the right one. So India requires new political culture. If the parties transform themselves, I think the best in the country must get into them. But if that doesn't happen, then I think the best must look for new political culture rather than merely join the
But
parties.
we could be waiting in that case for a long, long time.
I don't believe so. I'm a great optimist. I believe that things are changing already, and there is a desperate urge across the country. It's just that we have to summon the will and the courage to put these pieces together. And
you say you're an optimist. Can this happen in your lifetime and mine?
I'm talking in the next 5-10 years.
As soon as that?
As soon as that.
You sure you're not hoping for a miracle?
No. The country is ready in a fundamental sense. In every party, in every household, in every state, in every village, a million conversations are taking place about this. Only thing is the praxis of the call. That's right now happening. The issue is how do you put it together in a coherent way, and I think that's
Let me play devil's advocate for a moment. Millions of people listening to you will say, I hope he's right. And then the same millions will say, I have a horrible feeling he's just being an optimist. How do you assure them that this is actually grounded in some real belief that it will happen?
What are the things that are required for people really to assert? One is ignorance. We think we are very smart, but actually in India, most of our knowledge is irrelevant. We know about Timbuktu's capital or the currency of Peru or the president of some country. We don't really understand the things that matter to us. How do you enroll yourself as a voter? How do you actually see the electoral process going, and what are the outcomes, etc.? We have to have informed public.
Is that information happening?
I think increasingly, but not sufficiently.
And when it happens, you think it will lead to this change of culture?
I have no doubt about it.
And that in turn will lead to better people coming into politics?
Absolutely.
But it will all happen in 5 short years?
5 to 10 years, not necessarily because of your effort and my effort, Karan, but because status quo is no longer sustainable. It is that compulsion that will drive India towards change. When big change happens...
So there's a compulsion under the ground that's just pushing things?
Absolutely.
What the Germans called a sort of Zeitgeist?
Absolutely.
It's happening despite us?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're a man who's taken on incredible challenges. I've mentioned 3 or 4 of them. There are a host more that I can't mention. Where do you get the will and the drive?
I'm an agnostic. I don't have any faith in the traditional sense, but I do believe there is a sin. And there are 2 great sins. One is unfulfilled potential. The second is avoidable suffering. These 2 are in abundance in this country, and they make me angry. They make me angry, partly because they're immoral. They make me deeply concerned because they're so wholly unnecessary. We can do a lot more.
But that anger also is your driving force.
Certainly. But I learned to channelize that constructively and creatively. I don't normally show my angry face.
Well, in which case, let me end this interview by saying, long may you stay angry.
Thank you.
Dr. Narayan, a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much.